My name is Strider. Looking forward to discussing really cool stuff here with my friends. We have Cathy.
Hi.
Hi, glad to have you here. We have Harry. How are you doing, man?
Hello. I'm fine, thank you.
All right, handling all the stuff in the background, and of course, our local resident master dwarf, Varking. How are you, sir?
I am phenomenal. Very happy to be here, especially with you fine folks. And Strider, I don't know if you knew this, but I voted you yesterday for best internet talk show host of 2023. You got my vote.
Much appreciated. Couldn't do it without you. And speaking of not being able to do things without you, do you want to start off the video with our first news of the day?
Let's hit them strong right out of the gate. We have an exclusive that Adar will have a new orc commander named Laz in the Rings of Power Season 2, who is seen as Adar's right-hand man. How does that make you feel, Cathy, that Adar has a new right-hand man named Laz and it's not Waldrig?
It's orc, by the way. There's a right-hand man, but it's an orc right-hand man.
They know what we're talking about.
Yeah. Sorry, this is my pedantic side. My bad. Continue.
His right-hand orc.
Right-hand orc, yeah.
I love it. I love orcs. I love the orcs, especially in the Hobbit movies, because they were speaking in black speech, so I love that kind of stuff. So I'm happy that he has right-hand man. Of course, I'm worried what happened with Boldrag, but we'll see. I mean, this is an interesting information, because opens a lot of questions. Where is Boldrag? Where did that Laz come from? Because he isn't from season 1, obviously. So it's a good thing, Morvid Clark said that there are going to be a lot of interesting villains in season 2, so she obviously wasn't exaggerating. We are getting new ones, so that's good.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to get the new named orc who's hopefully going to play a pretty cool role. The one thing I'm looking forward to seeing is how they will handle the issue of creating a proper orc army, because in the first season there was if we are being generous, a few hundred of them. So what I'm thinking is perhaps this orc might be a leader of some other tribe or some other company that was somewhere else during the first season. Maybe some other part of Mordor or some other part of Middle-earth. So I'm hoping maybe that's what we get. But it's cool. And I'm also interested in the name. So do we know, is this his actual name, or is this maybe a code name?
So on set, he has been referred to in dialogue as Laz. So, of course, maybe that could be a placeholder. But as of right now, I think this orc character will be called Laz or some variation of Laz, because I think in season 1 we had a really good track record, but I think one of the things we actually did hear both Halbrand and Hadrith, and we actually went with Hadrith in the end, but it was actually of course Halbrand, so maybe a scenario could be like that again, but I am pretty confident that this orc character will be called Laz. But the thing I'm looking forward to it, so of course with the Hobbit movies, of course Azog was never meant to be around that much, and of course I know Hen would kill me, but I didn't really like the third one or the first one that much, but what I did like though was the relationship, even though of course it wasn't technically in the books, it was between Azog and Bolg. And I think of course we know Adar's a half corrupted orc elf chieftain, maybe he takes that, maybe Azog will. Then we got this new Bolg figure, which is going to be something of intrigue, because in season 1, as Strider mentioned, we didn't get to see that many orcs together. We didn't get to see them grouped up. Maybe, of course, that was due to New Zealand restrictions. that could be a possibility. Probably is most likely. But in season 2, yeah, hopefully that shows that with the battles or set pieces that we're going to see, all of the orcs in general, the fact that a right-hand man is needed must mean that there is a substantial amount of orcs. So that's quite looking forward. I'm looking forward to that in season 1. The best, even with the scoops wise, when we used to release them, the things that you always used to be most positive, excited about were orc stuff, and when the prosthetics on the first look of them got released, people were so excited. So yeah, that's my initial thoughts on that one.
Yeah, I think I'm looking forward to seeing how he will look like. I think they did a really cool job with Adar. But Barking, what do you think of this Laz fellow?
It's mixed emotions for me. One, as you guys are talking about, that Azog Bolg relationship. Laz is like Laz. It's like a Bolg. It's a good name to yell when your number 2 is kind of not doing what he's supposed to be doing, or you need to command him. So it might give. It's weird to think like Adar can get boosted up any further compared to how he was in season 1, but this will give him like a little bit more authority in the army if he's got like a number 2 that he's got to boss around. But the downside to it is if Laz is the true new number 2, there's a good chance we're not seeing Waldrig back. And while we never saw him like die on screen, I'd love to have him back.
Well, to be fair, maybe Waldrig's with his true master Halbrand in the Mordor sets. You never know.
I mean, he's been looking for Sauron this whole time, so maybe he becomes Halbrand's number 2. Yeah, exactly. He's finally going to ask somebody, "Are you Sauron?" And for the first time, somebody would be like, "Yeah, I actually am." And then he's finally got his guy. He can get that autograph. He can fanboy back on Twitter. Waldrig doing Waldrig things, and then maybe there will be a little clash between Waldrig and Laz over who's the best corrupted number 2 of all time on the show. So
basically, he will just become like they're like PR, like doing PR.
PR
you know what, guys?
Yeah, some Vote Sauron and all that.
Maybe Waldrig got promoted to Sauron's left hand. If we assume that Adar is Sauron's right hand, maybe Waldrig is his left hand. So he doesn't have to be Adar's right hand, like higher position. Maybe they're like equal, so you never know. Waldrig wanted to serve Sauron, and then, when Adar came, he was like, okay, whatever, I'll serve you. But Sauron is the one that he wants to have pledge his loyalty, and so we'll see. It's possible that he got a promotion as well.
This is all sounding like a little Mordor orgy or something. Like his left-hand man, his right-hand man.
A little Morgy,
yeah, little. That's also Mordor. So yeah.
Well, he does want to be the best number 2. And speaking of number 2, Strider.
Exactly.
Why don't you go ahead and hit us with our second scoop?
Indeed. It's a big one. Speaking of Morgies, there will be a cool battle set piece moment between Adar, played by Sam Hazeldine, Elrond, played by Robert Arameo, and Laz, the right-hand orc, and it will involve also a working trebuchet.
Okay, this has to mean one thing. It has to be someone is getting lifted and sent over the walls of a region. And it's probably one of those 3.
It's going to have to be Laz.
It's going to have to be Laz in that case.
I just love how all 3 of those characters are there. They're just working trebuchets. It's going to be very... Okay, we don't have the confirmation that someone is actually getting sent over, but, well, it's one conclusion that you can make from it.
No, what I could see is, maybe there's so the idea is probably that Elrond will be leading this relief force. So what I'm imagining that could happen here is some sort of a charge with a cavalry or something. And then, maybe their priority at that point is to try to stop the siege engines, which of course this gets the working trebuchet into the picture. And maybe there's this fight scene with Elrond and some of his elves, and then with orcs and led by Adar and Laz. Maybe that's the situation. That's how I would say it. I don't think it's just 3 of them. It's probably going to be more people there as well. But maybe this is the moment where we get to see Robert Arameo's Elrond step up as a fighter and start evolving into this great commander that we are supposed to see at the end of the series.
Yeah, I'm with you. The great poet and writer from season 1, kind of jousting people through word in season 1, and now here in season 2, maybe doing a little more close combat. And it's going to be really, really cool because Robert Arameo, for any negativity around the show, I think like universally people love the Dwarves, and Robert Arameo especially. Even as a Dwarf fan, I've got to give it up to Robert Arameo. He killed it in season 1. So maybe he'll be killing Laz in season 2 and put his body on a trebuchet and launch that ish back over the wall the other way.
This all sounds like Naomi and Cathy were talking about it earlier today. This sounds like a little, Pirates of the Caribbean moment. Just something ridiculous, like funny in that way. They're like fighting maybe near a trebuchet. One of them gets pushed onto it, and then it just gets launched over. But
that was my first thought. Like when I heard this scoop, my first thought was Jack Sparrow, Captain Jack Sparrow.
Captain.
Like Elrond, twirling around and like killing everyone with his sword. Like who comes close. I got that image, but I don't think that they're going to go in slapstick direction. The show needs levity and humor, but not exactly slapstick, right? But at the same time, it's an action show, so action movies, action shows, they should be a little bit on a theme park side. So if there is an over-the-top action sequence, as long as it doesn't go on forever and become boring, I think it's going to be fine. It's going to be fun. And I agree that it seems to be like Elrond's action moment. Maybe he is trying to stop the trebuchet because obviously it's going to cause a lot of damage over the wall. I guess so maybe he starts trying to sabotage the trebuchet. And the other two maybe are trying to protect the trebuchet and sabotage Elrond. So
you say trebuchet.
Yeah, we'll see how it works.
Sorry.
But yeah, I mean, on paper sounds lots of fun, so we'll see. I'm excited. I want to see that sequence.
It does sound really amazing. And maybe they'll use the trebuchet as not a way to get in, but maybe they'll find a way to use it to escape. And you know what other kind of escapes sound amazing? Harry, why don't you tell them about this word from our sponsor for this video?
Well, we actually do have a sponsor. Thank you to Lord of the Rings Soundscape for sponsoring us, and it's on jordanrenels.com. And it's an interesting thing, and we'll be playing the trailer right now. So yep, that was the trailer. Make sure to check it out. The codes will be on screen right now. Make sure to use these codes to get discounts to experience this experience that you're probably experiencing right now. Said to experience 3 times, but he has also kindly been also scoring this whole episode, which is why you've been hearing fun little things in the background. So yeah, thank you again to Lord of the Rings Soundscape, a long-expected Soundscape, for sponsoring us.
Was that sounds caption now that you did?
With all the experiences he was having?
Yeah, like all the levels of the sounds.
Yes.
Speaking of being an experienced scooper, Harry, why don't you hit us with scoop number 3?
Scoop number 3 is about Galadriel and an orc. So Galadriel will face off against a, quote, berserker orc, which is said to be massive and almost 2 meters tall in length. A similar comparison was made to the giant infected creature referred to as the bloater in episode 5 of the hit critical acclaimed show The Last of Us. So we are going to be potentially seeing Galadriel face off against a 2-meter orc. And what happens if this orc is... What's his name? Laz. Okay, we don't know that,
Laz.
but that just come to my
We
head
don't know,
right now.
but
Yeah, but
could
except
be.
from that, a massive orc. What were you guys thinking?
Well, so the first action scene basically that we got in the first season was the troll fight. Like the first fight that we saw was the fight with that snow troll, and the problem that we had, at least for me, it kind of downplayed the moment because Galadriel. So there's this troll just going through the company, just killing them, devouring and all that, and then she just shows up and like with one crazy badass maneuver just slays him. But it didn't feel that she was in danger, so it did present her as this very powerful character. But I think it was maybe a bit overdone. We should have seen a bit more struggle. So what I'm hoping here is that this is going to be a proper duel to death, like to see her and this orc engage in battle and to for her to get hurt, to be in danger, to feel that, because as I said, like compared to that troll scene, she never felt like she was in danger.
Do you think maybe this could be her Arondir season 1 moment where he was getting attacked and almost got poked in the eye, which would have been really disgusting?
Yeah, that's what I was going through my head as well. Like that was maybe like a good example of a personal battle scene. So yeah, that's my comment on this.
I
Martin,
actually
how do
have.
you-
Oh, sorry.
sorry.
No, I was about
What
to say,
do you actually have?
I actually have a theory that I've just thought of on the spot related
hear
to one
it.
of our previous scoops. I think Galadriel might lose this battle and might be one of the reasons why she ends up getting captured. That's just a crazy speculation, but maybe that's how we link the two. Maybe she faces off against this berserk orc, and of course, because this orc is like 2 meters and like massive, she ends up, getting her ass kicked basically and gets locked up and imprisonment with Adar. Maybe that's one possibility of how these two separate scoops could work together. Either that, or maybe it's just battle scene during the fall of Oregon if we see that in season 2. So, but I quite like my first theory.
No,
I just
honestly,
think
that makes sense. Yeah.
Getting more orcs on screen, more orcs that are threatening, I think that's all a huge win for the show. Harry, kind of like what you were talking about earlier with our scoops, like the orc stuff was really connecting with the fans. On Reddit, it was like every time a new article about the orcs came out at all or their look, it was like the thing that got upvoted the most. People were most happy about it. So I think that they can kind of lean into that and give us more of them, and don't make them just fodder for the heroes. Make them an actual threat, like Strider was saying. It makes it so when the heroes do win, it means more because you worry about them a little bit. Even if we know how the story's supposed to end, you can still kind of get lost in what you're watching. And I hope that this translate really well to screen, and that I would like to see this intelligent orc, instead of trying to kill her, capture her, because that's what the leader wants. Because Adar was probably yelling "Laz," and then he was like, "All right, I got it." And then Cathy, what do you think?
Well, when I first heard about this scoop, my thought was that it was going to be like a filler action scene, like that are staple of every action movie or action show. When when the show gets too talky, they insert an action scene, and basically, I thought it was the repeat. It was going to be the repeat of the ice troll. He stalls, so we can expect more of Elven Wirefu, like jumps and that sort of thing, and so if you like the troll scene, you like this. If you didn't, you can take bathroom break. But but this discussion that there is a possibility that it's actually a meaningful scene, like for example her capture, like makes it more interesting, because action movies and shows are going to have those filler action scenes always, like it's part of the genre, like and there is nothing wrong with that, like, but it's always better when you have something meaningful that moves the plot forward, maybe tells you something about the character, like Star Wars, for example. They perfected duels that are meaningful for relationships. Luke and Vader, father and son, Obi-Wan and Anakin, surrogate brothers, and Rey and Kylo, enemies to lovers. Like it's meaningful. Like it's much deeper than just like this big dude, like whose whole existence is to fight the hero and gets killed, right? So we'll see what happens. But I share the opinion that more orcs is always a good thing. And the speaking of Adar, I think that making him an orcs rights Uruk rights activist, hashtag, like Uruks are Eruhini, Uruks are the children of Eru. Like I think that's the one of the most interesting aspects of season one, and additions, like something that isn't in the lore, but it isn't against it, because Tolkien had pretty, like conflicting feelings about orcs. So I'm interested to see where they're going to take that on the show, considering that we know the end game in Lord of the Rings. So, like, yeah, all good stuff.
That was a good bit of brainstorming right there. We got our brain strong, we got our Armstrong. Speaking of brainstormings and Armstrongs, Harry, have you heard anything about any Brandstroms or Armstrongs?
I've heard of both a Brandstrom and an Armstrong, because exclusive.
Hit us with it.
Charlotte Brandstrom is the director of episode 7, but Vic Armstrong from season 1 is the second unit director. And the interesting thing about this is that Vic Armstrong in season 1 did a lot of the battle stuff and the fighting. That's what his speciality was. He's a stuntman. He's got like over 166 credits on IMDb on doing stunts. So does that maybe potentially suggest that maybe episode 7 might be one of the action episodes? Do you guys agree?
Yeah, definitely. Because if they're going to do big action, they're going to build the season toward it. It's not going to happen at the beginning or even in the middle. It's going to be like in the second part. So episode 7 sounds right for something like big action, big battle, or like any kind of, like action stuff. Yeah. Definitely. I agree with that.
Yeah, like the theory was that the last 2 episodes will be the battle scene, so it makes sense that we would have Vic Armstrong handling that. I wasn't too impressed with most of the stuff in the first season, but I think the main problem there was the scale of it, because we went through this when we were analyzing the first season, what it was going out.
So you didn't like Galadriel hanging off a horse, like doing this with her swords, killing like 15 orcs?
I liked her hanging off the horse because that's an actual thing. That was a really cool moment that they actually had to do that. But the main thing I didn't like was the scale of it. It was
I agree.
The combination of the first season of this huge show, and we have like 50 peasants fighting 100 orcs, and then you have like 35 Numenorians or horses, and like that's it. So what I'm hoping is, I don't think that on technical terms the first season was bad when it came to fights, like especially that final fight, but I think the scale is what elevates it, because if we think of Helm's Deep and the Return of the King, obviously the battles that we see there, the scale of it even today, if you look at it, it's like, oh wow, okay, this is huge, this is something really big is happening on the screen. So I'm hoping that because this will presumably be the fall of the region, I'm hoping that they let the directors like play with the resources, like just give them the men, give them the effects, give them the ability to create really epic battles. So that's my impression on this. If they're so good, just let them show us why they're so good.
Do you think today's scoops around the orcs has maybe potentially like given the idea that maybe we will be getting a higher scale in season 2. Do you think so, or do you think we still have to wait and see?
Honestly, for me, yeah, I think we still have to wait and see. I'm hoping because it's in UK now. Corona is much less of a problem, so I'm hoping that it should be better. But based on the scoops today, it doesn't change my opinion left or right. What about Barking? What do you think? Are we gonna get a bigger battle?
I hope so, and I think so. I really do believe so, partly because of what you said, with the pandemic rules have been lessened and lightened up, so they should be able to have more people on set or, more people around who can, maybe streamline the process of getting the CGI characters on screen to add more and more people so it looks like there's more. You mentioned those pretty moderately okay battles from the Lord of the Rings movies, but didn't make mention of the Battle of Five Armies when the dwarves came out at the end and absolutely whooped on the elves. Best battle on any screen I've ever seen in my life, other than playing the Warhammer game. Phenomenal. Who was the director of Episode 7 in Season 1?
Charlotte Branshaw.
It kind of feels like they're leaning into her kind of helping close out the seasons.
She's got 4 episodes this season as well, I believe. The other 2 getting 2 episodes each.
Hearing these scoops, though, I have major concerns, and I'm not the major concerns guy. But the last time I saw the dwarves on screen was Episode 7 of Season 1. They were not in Episode 8. Their finale was in 7. And here, in what we believe will be Episodes 7 and 8 of Season 2, it's going to be a major elven orc battle, and that makes me question how much time there's going to be for the dwarves at the end of this season, and if most of their story is going to have to play out in the earlier episodes. Plus, even if they are in the final episodes, when you think about the kind of feelings that you're hoping to get out of a major battle, you can't have the dwarves kind of like inciting those same feelings. They're going to have to hit a different emotion on the spectrum, and I don't want them to just be the funny guys after how great they were in Season 1, and I don't want them to feel like they're being forgotten in Season 2. And I know we've heard rumors that Khazad-dûm is going to be bigger, better, more livelier than ever, and we're going to get an even better experience with the dwarves in Season 2. But I hope they kind of figure out the pacing of how many storylines we need to go back and forth on a particular episode. And maybe, I know a lot of this was written while Season 1 was still being shown to us, but maybe come Season 3, we don't feel the need to do like every other episode for the dwarves, and they can just be a part of the bulk of it because their story is so good and so excellent. We should be showcasing dwarves, Elrond, and the orcs at this point.
Well, my dear Dwarven friend, let me give you and everybody else who is a Dwarven fan a tiny speck of hope, maybe. I mean, a lot of people probably watching this know that, because Eregion and Khazad-dûm are so close, first of all, they will probably play a major role, at least I hope, in, we have to see the creation of the Dwarves of Durin. So Celebrimbor and Narvi hopefully will be a bigger character. But most importantly, during the fall of Eregion, dwarves did play a role. Perhaps not exactly throughout the whole battle, but they did kind of join in the end. And I think they might have even helped Elrond, like in some sort of retreat or something. I know that Galadriel and Celebrian passed through Moria after the fall of Eregion. So there's a strong chance that dwarves may help save the day. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but there might be something there at the end of the season that might be like, okay, dwarves are saving the day.
They should save the day. I mean, they have a history of being able to, like, I don't know, Sauron and an army show up and they can't penetrate Khazad-dûm. They beat them back. Not many races can do that, but the dwarves are one that can. So hopefully we see that on screen.
All right.
And I guess we'll just have to wait and see. So, Strider, do you want to close us off?
Yeah, so does anyone have any final comments, perhaps?
No.
I think we covered pretty effectively all 4 of the scoops for today.
When do we not? Is a real question.
Indeed. Honestly, yeah. Well, hopefully people had fun listening to this. We are looking forward to seeing your theories and comments. So please share them. Don't forget to like the video as well. It always helps us out. And it was a pleasure having everybody here. Cathy, always cool to hear cool stuff.
Yeah,
and
always
theories
good
from
to
you,
be
so.
here. I love these videos, so always great to be with you guys and with the audience, of course.
Varking, sir, thank you so much for all the wonderful segues. You are indeed the master of those.
Thank you for having me on and letting me play a role in this. It's always a pleasure. If I had a little piece of mithril here, what could we call it? Like, it was just a little piece. Oh, a nugget. Oh, congrats, Denver Nuggets, on their first NBA championship, by the way. Where was Jimmy Butler? I'll say no more. I'll say no more.
Yes, congrats to Denver Nuggets on winning their first championship. So let's go, Nikola Jokic. And Harry, thank you for having us here.
Thank you for hosting as well. Really appreciate it.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. See you next week, or maybe the week after that. Goodbye.